Episode 2 of Fan Vote is going to focus on the worst Mario Party items in the entire series, and the results for this top 10 list is from you. You guys voted last year in our huge questionnaire. 163 of you voted, and each of you got to pick 3 items that you thought were the worst of the bunch. Now remember, when we're talking about worst, we're talking about items that nobody wants, or they're really broken, or too chaotic, or they're duds, they're not great, those kinds of items. Keep in mind that items like the mushroom and the mushroom orb, those are the same thing. Spoiler alert, you're not going to see the mushroom on this list. That's actually a great item. And you know that if you watched our first episode, the top 10 favorite items. With that, let's start with number 10 on our worst top 10 Mario Party items. In 10th place, we have the Dueling Glove with a total of 8 votes. It's interesting that this one made it onto the list because I don't think that it's a bad item or one of the worst items, but it can be very devastating, especially if you're not confident in winning those minigames and potentially losing a star or all your coins. You could really lose a lot if you do not do well in that one single minigame. That said, if you're the one using the Dueling Glove on somebody else, it can be a very effective item, and it could be the reason why you win a game. An interesting choice nonetheless, but I'm just happy that it's at the very end of the list. In 9th place, we have the Chaos Kamek item with a total of 8 votes. Now this one I totally agree, and I even think it deserves to be even higher on the list. It only appears in the Perilous Palace Path board in Mario Party Island Tour, where if used, you will swap places with everybody on the board. So everyone will be switched up and the order will be not like it used to. Now you would think this isn't that bad, but the entire point of that board is to be the first one to the end. So if you're almost there and the person in last place is really lagging behind, they use this item, they can swap with you, and that's it. There's nothing you can do about it. It's horrible. In 8th place, we have the Piranha Plant Orb with a total of 9 votes. This one sucks. I can't tell you how many times I've landed on this space and had so many coins taken from me. 200 coins, 100 coins, 300 coins, slice it in half and give it to the person who put down that orb. It sucks. And if you get a lot of them, it can become very, very frequent. A similar item in Mario Party 8 called the Cash Zap Candy lets you pick an opponent through a dart wheel and have them lose half of their coins. But this time you don't actually get to keep those coins, they just disappear. In 7th place, we have the 0-1 Dice Block with a total of 10 votes. I get it, I see why this item made it onto this list, but does it really deserve a spot as one of the worst items? I say no. I mean, it's not one of the most exciting items, but it is a necessary part of Mario Party 9 and 10. There are so many times where there's some kind of danger right in front of you, or there's a space that you really want to land right in front of you too. This is the perfect time to be using the 0-1 Dice Block. It has its uses, it's not exciting, it's also not one of the worst items. But that's what you guys voted on. This is the 7th worst item. In 6th place, we have the Lucky Lamp with a total of 12 votes. This one I'm trying to understand a little more. I know it's not the most popular item, but is it one of the worst items? I wouldn't think so. I mean, it has its uses. You get to move the star away from somebody who's about to get it. Maybe that's why it's considered one of the worst. You don't like it when it's used on you. Maybe it just holds a lot of power in some situations. Most of my Mario Party games, this item is not used that often. Maybe it was the Twister capsule. Nobody liked landing on a space and unintentionally moving the star. In 5th place, we have the 1-2-3 Dice Block with a total of 13 votes. Like the 0-1 Dice Block, I understand why the 1-2-3 Dice Block is on this list. It's needed in Mario Party 9 and 10. It's not very exciting. You'd rather have a 4-5-6 Dice Block. It still has its uses. Like last time, if there's some kind of danger ahead, you'll probably want to lower your number count. But I get it. I get why it's on this list. There you go, number 5. In 4th place is the Warp Block with a total of 16 votes. Yeah, when I get this item in Mario Party 2 or 3, I'm not exactly jumping for joy. You can absolutely use it to swap places with another player and get ahead in one way or another, but most of the time you're on your own path with your own plan, and having this item, especially because the person who you swap with is random, it's just not usually worth it. And this item appears a lot throughout this series, so if you didn't like it back in the N64 days, well, it stays around for a while, so I can see why there's a little bit of hate and animosity towards the warp block. In third place, we have the Miracle Capsule with a total of 17 votes. Oh boy, this one deserves the third spot for sure. If you manage to get this to work by collecting 3 very rare Miracle Capsules in Mario Party 5, you will activate an event where the player in first place will have to give every single one of their stars to the player in last place. It's a horribly overpowered item, and only if you get it to work. Otherwise, you're just collecting these things and letting them sit and take up space. Again, that's only if you are lucky enough to find one. A lot of people who play Mario Party 5 will never see this actually happen. So more or less, it's a dud item. In second place, we have the Skeleton Key with a total of 18 votes. Yup, you guys picked correctly. Skeleton Key absolutely deserves the number 2 spot of the worst items of all time. You can definitely use them on the Skeleton Key doors for a great advantage, but for the most part, these are nothing more than dud items. In Mario Party 3, you're usually looking at just throwing them out. You get one through an item space or an item minigame, God forbid, you throw it out. You don't want it, you don't need it, unless you have a specific plan to go to a Skeleton Key door. It gets worse in Mario Party 2. There you only have 1 item slot, so if you get this item, you can't get any other item, and you can't throw them away. You're stuck with that until you actually use a Skeleton Key door. And in first place, we have the Poison Mushroom with a total of 24 votes. This one I'm kind of surprised about. I wasn't expecting to see it as the worst item of all time. I know that it's kind of just there. Nobody really tries to get it. If somebody else gets it, it's not really that big of a deal. So maybe that's why it made it onto this list? Just nobody cares for it? Is it that mundane that people just don't care for it to even exist? I mean, it doesn't appear that often in the Mario Party series, so maybe the developers know too? Maybe it's best to just keep that effect as a happening space or some kind of board event. And that is going to wrap it up for this list of very interesting choices. Not my choices, thankfully. This was all you guys. You guys voted for these items, and I don't think I can say I agree with even half of them. Even looking at the items that were coming up next. In 11th place, we were going to have the Magic Lamp. The Magic Lamp, as one of the worst